So, in a remarkable turn of events, Slick Rick has released a contender for Hip Hop Album of the Year in 2025. What he has put together is not just raps, it's art. This is art. This album is art. He has always made art, and this is no different. The album starts off with an intro. It's just a few words by some female vocalist about victory. There's sort of a buildup of, I guess, sort of horn. Stress is a classic late 80s, early 90s boom bap. It's essentially just, from what I can tell, just a bunch of stressful situations that you may find yourself in or that people find themselves in from time to time. There's a stress refrain, stress, and it's very reminiscent of his older work, being able to cleverly bring in a catchy and relatable refrain. Always been a skill of Slick Rick's. There's a feature on here. I don't know who he is, but it's a super dope feature. At one point, Rasta and Costama somehow rhyme. What I noticed about this, just off of the rip, was that Slick Rick sounds super fresh. I don't want to use the word rejuvenated because that insinuates that he was lacking at one point and then was sort of revitalized. And I don't think that's the case. I think that he never left. We just didn't know that. Sounds like uh, he may have been recording for years the whole time. I don't know, but he does not sound like he doesn't sound like a 40-year-old rapper, much less a 60-year-old rapper. Angelic is the next song. This one has another refrain, but it's daddy. Slick Rick still sounds and looks like a pimp. I'm not saying that he is a pimp, but he seems to portray all the characteristics of a pimp. The second verse on this, we see a flow switch. Um, he's doing this double, almost triple time flow in pockets, just pieces of pockets, where he's weaving in and out. And we'll see this more throughout the album, but this is the first time I could hear that here, and that's a hard flow to pull off for anybody. The fact that he's doing it, it kind of blew me away when I first heard him doing this. Especially when I heard that he was doing it throughout the album. He's super in pocket here. Internals are everywhere. It's just a song about, I guess, female or females, but super dope. Feels very Slick Rick. That's one thing that I think I noticed earlier about this album is that it feels like Slick Rick. Foreign, I'm not sure what Foreign's about. There is storytelling here. Sometimes I get a little bit lost in his storytelling. It seems to be like he's being denied access to a plane or a country. He's talking about being in the airport. The production on this one's insane. His storytelling ability is top notch. His flow on this is just effortless. It doesn't seem as if it's difficult for him at all. It starts with a mention of like grandpa, like as if he's telling a story. So I don't know what that's about exactly, if it's just giving context to the story artistically by incorporating, another individual as if they're listening like children's story. I don't know what that's about exactly, but it reminds me of "Can You Read Me a Story, Uncle Ricky?" But now it's like grandpa, you know. The next track on here, I Did That. I Did That is one of my favorite tracks on the whole album. It's not a song, it's just like spoken word, and it's going through his own accomplishments and influence for hip hop, what he's done for the culture. And he doesn't say anything that isn't true. And it's braggadocious, but it's emotional almost. He sounds like someone finally relieved that they accomplished something. Maybe he is acknowledging that others acknowledge him. Maybe he felt like he wasn't acknowledged for a really long time, and I do think that that was the case. I think that Slick Rick, like many of the greats from the 80s in particular, along with Rakim and Cool G Rap and KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, these guys. A lot of them have been compartmentalized into legacy acts. And I don't think that's fair because it's very clear that they still have something to say. There was some debate, when Andre put out the Flute album about if he had something to say. He said that he didn't know what he would rap about anymore, and that's why he uh, hadn't put out a solo album because he wasn't inspired. He didn't feel like he had anything to say. And I think Slick Rick is proving here that he has quite a bit to say, um, as Nas has, and many of the older hip hop artists that we disgustingly uh, call legacy acts. He's not a legacy act. He's a hip hop artist that just happens to be older than the average artist in the industry. That's just it. He's just older. But what we don't acknowledge is that writers tend to get better. And I understand that maybe our ability to actually physically rap is compromised sometimes as we get older because our voice changes and maybe rhythmically we're not the same because our coordination isn't the same as we get a little bit older. Maybe it's a little more difficult for us to stay in pocket or whatever. But you fix that just by rapping often and staying sharp. It's very clear that Slick Rick has done that. And I think as long as someone is maintaining their artistic integrity, they should be allowed to put out music. But anyway, Come On, Let's Go. Come On, Let's Go is basically storytelling on a hip house beat. It is not my favorite song on the album. I think it is good for what it is. It's not my vibe, but I think it fits with the album. He's got a couple of these house type of songs on here, and because of his era, I think that he had every right and should have put those on here. They belong on here. They're just not for my personal taste. This one's about, like, I guess, a long night out at the club or after the club. There's some mischief and shenanigans going on. Uh, and he's like late to work the next morning. So I don't know if Slick Rick's still running around with the young hoochie mamas in 2025, but it would appear to be. So Landlord is on like a ska reggae type of beat, which I find to be interesting. It's upbeat, even though that the content of the song is not so upbeat. It's about people not paying the rent and destroying property, and it's storytelling at its finest. It really is. There's onomatopoeia, there's metaphorical language, there's imagery, there's narrative, there's uh, literally like every element of storytelling is in this song. Never heard a song about a landlord. I've never heard a song about bad tenants. Um, I think that it's a dope concept for a record. But what I really want to say about it is that this is groundbreaking to me because people like Andre say, like, we don't have anything to say, whatever, whatever. Well, okay, so you don't think you have anything to say. Fine. Landlord is not just for rap fans. This is a meditation on being a landlord. This is a meditation on real estate. And in real estate literature, there are actual chapters, and I think maybe even entire books about how to deal specifically with tenants. Not the legal stuff, not tax stuff, not home improvement stuff, just dealing with fucking tenants. For all the entrepreneurs and people looking to get into real estate, this song is actually a good song to listen to because it gives you an idea of what you really deal with from the perspective of the landlord rather than the tenant. So I think this is brilliant. I think it's the best song on the album, and I think it's like an instant classic song to me. I truly believe that. Landlord is great. Mother Teresa is like a meditation prayer. I don't really know exactly what's going on, but it sounds good. It seems to be about like being able to do anything you want because you have endured so much already. And that resonates with me because I've had a crazy life, and it's less crazy now than it's ever been. And sometimes when I'm having periods of doubt, I remember that I've been through way worse. So I appreciate those words coming from Slick Rick. Spirit to Cry is a very personal song. I don't really understand it completely. There's a few songs on here where I truly just I don't completely grasp thematically the message. And I actually appreciate that because I think oftentimes great art does that, where you need to decipher it over a period of time to really fully get it. And I have found that to be the case with this album. That's why it's taken me a while to review it, even to the capacity that I've allowed myself to. So Spirit to Cry, I mean, there's a spooky piano here, some guitar. There's some vocal layering here that I thought was super well executed. This is an Aretha Franklin sample, which I thought was an interesting choice. At one point, he says, "Got me and this chick fighting." Well, in the beginning, he calls marriage a court grant. It sounds like this is either a sour marriage or a sour relationship of some sort. I don't know all of Slick Rick's personal background. I don't know if this is specifically written about his life or people in this type of situation more generally. I don't know. But it's a great song. It's spooky, and there's a darkness to it that isn't in most of this album. Documents was when I heard the snippets of the instrumentals that Slick Rick released on one of the promo videos. Out of all of them, this was my favorite beat. I have heard that some people aren't as into Slick Rick's verse here. I think what happened is that this is vintage Nas, right? This is the Nas feature, and it's vintage Nas. It's very much packed with metaphors and vivid imagery. And these pictures get stuck in your head. Nas is the best at doing that, honestly. Um, and Slick Rick just took a totally different approach. Flow's different, and he is taking more of a storytelling approach here. It's cool because they're both doing what they're great at, and it's just a meshing of two worlds. It's two worlds colliding that we hadn't seen collide before, and I think it is different. But I love the song. I think it's one of the best songs on the album. I think Nas kills the feature. So I'm not gonna say anything bad about it. So You're Having My Baby is basically Slick Rick's baby mama drama put in song form. I don't know if it's his baby mama drama, but somebody's baby mama drama has been depicted by Slick Rick. That's what this is. They're talking to a judge. He's saying not guilty. He denies the baby, I think. It seems like he's denying the baby. Do really love the piano sample here. The piano sample is great. I like the boom bapish vibe with the piano sample. I'm a sucker for boom bap with piano. Cause I'm Here is the first and only song where we get a shout out to Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres. Don't know why exactly. This is essentially a club song, a house song about, I guess, taking someone's girl. Ellen DeGeneres has been guilty of that. However, I don't know about Rosie O'Donnell. Maybe Rosie has been guilty of that. Rosie, if you're watching, be honest with the people. Matrix is just like a little skit. He's saying that there's a glitch in the Matrix. And after glitch in the Matrix, the glitch in the Matrix, we're not losing. He mentions learning Mandarin multiple times here. He mentions nuclear disaster here. It seems as if this is a call for folks to wake up. Obviously, uh, with a multitude of conflicts in foreign affairs, the potential for our country's decline is higher than it's been in quite a while. It sounds like he's speaking on that, but it's kind of vague. He does mention the Chinese thing multiple times, learning Mandarin. I'm wondering if he's implying that China could be the next number one global power over America. I don't know. There's more boom bap drums, some synth keys. I like the song overall. I'm just not sure exactly what his position is after listening to it, other than we need to wake up. But he's so skillful and artful that you really do get lost in the experience of it all. And only really, really, really great artists can do that, in my opinion. Sort of suspension of disbelief, right? If you've got it, you'll get it sampled by the Headhunters. This thing was produced by Q-Tip, and it's nasty. It's really, really nasty. Another great adventure. And he also mentions this adventure being creepy. And I wonder if this is sort of foreshadowing for another future album in which he speaks on things more. I could be wrong about that, but it seems like he's saying, I'm back now. I got some things to say. Like he hasn't even said it yet, almost. Like he has a lot more to say. I hope he does. I truly enjoyed this album. I've listened to it a few times now. I only skimmed through it the night it dropped at midnight. I went to bed that night, but I have since listened to it multiple times and sat with it a couple weeks. And it's really just a groovy album. I don't think there are any misses on this thing. There's a couple songs, the two house songs I'm not crazy about, only because I'm not into house music really. But I also appreciate his place in hip hop culture and hip hop history. And I really like that he did that actually, because that is where he comes from. And he was not afraid to be himself on this album. Slick Rick has and will always be Slick Rick, unapologetically himself at all times. And he doesn't care what I think about this album, really. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. He knew it was good when he made it. He doesn't need anyone's validation. He knew he was good before he made this album. That's why he made it. Truly a great, great project. I'm gonna have to give this at least a 9.5 out of 10. Like this thing's damn near perfect. I don't really know that I would change anything. Honestly, like I kind of just want to give it a 10, but I feel like, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many great albums that are our 10s that are so important. And I think it's early to quite call it a 10. This is better than a lot of stuff I've heard this year. This is better than anything anybody under 30 has put out. This is insane. Great album. Truly just absolute legend in every single way. And he proved it on this album. This is a great, great album. And younger artists should be embarrassed again, like they were, or they should have been when Nas dropped 6 albums in 2 years. They should be embarrassed. Slick Rick just outperformed 99% of the industry with this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review. More reviews coming. I don't like some of the music that's released enough to spend that much time with it. That shit takes time and work, and I don't mind putting the work in at all, but I'm not doing it for trash. I'll do it for Slick Rick, I'll do it for Nas, I'll do it for K-Dot, I'll do it for Cole, I'll do it for Jid, I'll do it for a whole lot of people, but I'm not doing it for some other folks. Let's just say that.